AITA for kicking my down-on-his-luck friend out of my apartment, for disobeying my one rule. A friend of mine, 22M, has been down on his luck recently and wanted a fresh start in a different state. He reached out to me, 30M, to crash on my couch for a bit until he gets his life together. I agreed and have been buying him groceries and putting gas in his car until he finds his footing. I only had one rule. He can't bring any girls over to stay the night. It's been 3 weeks, and he has done it twice now. The first time he said he was drunk, and it was an accident. The second time he just blatantly said, "I'm sorry, I need to get one out." I told him it's fine, she can stay the night, but he has to leave with her in the morning. It wasn't me being jealous. It's just a matter of respect. Comment by Cauliflower Pretty 63 says, NTA, if you're being kind enough to let him stay on your couch, eat your food, and you fill up his car, he can follow one rule. If he is that desperate for sex, he should be opting to go to the women's house for it, not bringing them back to yours. Sorry, he doesn't sound very grateful to me. If I was down on my luck and someone was doing all that for me, I would 100% follow that one simple rule. Comment by Laxit00 says, you set a clear boundary pay for groceries and his gas, and he brings home a girl not once but twice. Your friend obviously doesn't respect you or your rule and feels he can do whatever he feels like. If you let this go guaranteed, he would have done this a third time or more. You can't feel bad for giving a roof over his head for 3 weeks and gas money when he breaks a pretty straightforward rule. I would have lost my dollar hit the first time, especially coming in drunk, which shows he's got money to put his own food and gas. PPL feel they can walk over you, and you'll just let it go. Good for you, and anyone who says you shouldn't have can let him crash at their place. Our next story says, am I the asshole for not solving the problem by punishing my daughter? I have 4 kids. One, F16 Nora, still lives with me. One of my sons, 38M Jeremy, recently went completely broke. I won't get into details, but it wasn't his fault and just a series of bad luck. He asked to move in with me, and I agreed. The problem is that he doesn't get along with Nora. I allowed Nora to take my old car when she got her license. Now Jeremy wants to use the car because he needs it more than a teenager, and Nora will not allow it. Another problem is food. Both my wife and I are vegan, and we don't buy anything non-vegan, though our kids are allowed to buy anything they want with their own money. Nora is not vegan, and she buys and cooks her own meals. My DIL, who is pregnant, is upset that Nora refuses to share and eats her cravings in front of her. She has asked us to buy non-vegan food, as well, which morally I cannot do. Another problem is the room arrangements. My wife and I are on the first floor, and everyone else is on the second floor. Nora has a habit of playing violin whenever she wants. It was never a problem for us. Now they have a problem with it and think Nora needs to get used to not playing as much because once the baby arrives, which is very soon, they are worried the baby won't be able to sleep. The last problem is that Nora refuses to let them use her bathroom. There are 2 bathrooms upstairs, and one has always been Nora's, and the other one can be used by anyone. They think their son, my grandson, Peter 17, should share Nora's bathroom. They've been fighting nonstop, and I'm tired of it. They told me to solve the problem, and by solving they meant force Nora to do what they want. And I told them if they bother me again, I will solve the problem by kicking them out. I have a responsibility to my minor child, but I don't have a responsibility to them. Now they think I'm an asshole. Comment by Kendall Viora says, not the asshole. Your adult son moved back in. He doesn't get a roll in and start calling shots over your teenager. Nora's car, Nora's food, Nora's bathroom, Nora's violin. She lives there full time. They're the guests. You're right, your actual job is to parent your minor kid, not babysit grown adults who think solving the problem means bullying a 16-year-old. Comment by ReadyCucumber8922 says, so much this. Your adult son is a choosing beggar. This is Nora's home and her only option. Jeremy and his wife need to realize how very fortunate they are to have you as a safety net and start acting more grateful. I also don't buy that they've gone from being able to support themselves well enough to be expanding their family to having absolutely nothing, totally broke, no home, no car, less income than a 16-year-old between 3 of them, can't even buy a few supplemental groceries. Through no fault of their own, just some bad luck. Our next story says, Am I the asshole for not wanting to help my mom and her fiance with his disabled child? I, 20M, moved out of my mom's 42F house a couple years ago when I went to college. Until 10 months ago, I had my own room there, but her fiance, 45M, and his two kids, 6M and 4F, moved in with her. The 4-year-old has a host of disabilities. I know they have a seizure disorder and a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, but I believe there's another one involving paralysis or spasms of the stomach/esophagus. My mom took classes for over 2 months before her fiancé moved in, so she would know how to take care of his daughter. Her fiancé's ex is totally out of the picture, so mom decided she would need to step up completely, which I get. I have been back twice since mom's fiancé moved in with his kids. The first time was at Christmas, and I stayed with my grandparents because my old room went to the 4-year-old and there was no spare room for me. My mom was disappointed, but I pointed out it would stop me getting in the way of their routine too. The second time was late June/early July. I was home for a few weeks and again stayed with my grandparents. Mom offered to buy a pull-out bed for me, but I said I was good with my grandparents. When I was home, and whenever I went to mom's, I was asked if I had looked into taking the same classes mom had, or if I'd like them to set me up with them. I said no and asked why I'd need to take them. Mom said she had hoped I would want to help them. She said it would mean I could step in if an emergency came up, and I told Mom she'd be better to find someone professional for that, because I was not taking on that responsibility. Her fiancé asked if I'm just never going to stay at the house, and I said yes. I told him I would have zero privacy if I slept there, and it wouldn't benefit any of us. I pointed out how they'd be so busy anyway that I wouldn't have time with Mom that much, and I'd get just as much staying somewhere else and planning ahead of time to visit when she's not super busy. Her fiancé then said it sounded like I didn't want to learn how to care for his daughter and planned to be limitedly involved with him and his kids. I said I'll see them when I see Mom, but I won't be signing up for babysitting or future caregiver responsibilities. Mom and I went for a walk together after I said that, and she told me she got it, but that she hoped I'd be willing. She said it's a lot to ask, and I don't even live that close anymore, so it would never be all the time, but she asked me if I was really that unwilling to even give them a few hours off when I would visit. She said it would be so helpful. I told her I would visit and want to spend time with her, but babysitting her future stepkids was not in my plans, and especially not one so medically complex and in need of specific care. She was upset, but let it go. Her fiancé is holding a grudge about it. He brought it up to my grandparents when Christmas was brought up. They said they got the feeling he was also annoyed they gave me a place to stay during my visits because it gives me an excuse not to get close to his kids and therefore be more willing to learn how to take care of his daughter. Am I the asshole? Comment by Kinda Rightish says, honestly, it's wild to me that your mom would give up seeing you for a couple of hours when you're able to visit to have you babysit her stepkids, especially as you don't/can't visit often. She decided she would take on the role and responsibility of being their mom and what looking after a medically complex child entails. You didn't and don't have to. In case of an emergency, it would make much more sense to have someone who is local to them and knows the kids to step in, like a member of her/fiancé's family or a close friend of theirs. Not the asshole. Comment by Llama Mama 56 says, not the asshole. The fiancé wants help with his kids, and he doesn't care who helps. Does he even love your mom, or is it that she was willing to take care of the complex disabled child, and he gets a break? Make sure your grandparents know you are not willing to take classes, or whatever. Talk to them how you won't be spending the night at your mom's house because of this. Ask them to not let him try to force anything on